Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. We are in right now northeast Florida, and as most of you know, Hurricane Nicole made landfall, and it made landfall as a Category 1, as anticipated. In fact, here's the radar. We're looking at a traffic cam here. This is up in the Jacksonville, Florida area. I'm going to show you the radar. Hold on just a second here. Here we go. You can see how strong the outer bands are up in the Jacksonville area. Tornado warnings possible up here. In fact, this was forecasted yesterday with regard to the tornado warnings possibly impacting the Jacksonville, St. Augustine, it's the entire northeastern Florida area. So over at windy.com, I want to show you guys a power outage map right now. You can see 237,000 customers without power. So this storm, by no stretch of the imagination, was a slouch. It was a respectable Category 1 hurricane, and to be honest, quite rare for November. November 10th, really. So here's what we got going on here in Jacksonville, Florida. You can see what looks like a light pole right here laying on the ground. See it? Okay, and what's a little difficult to see, but it'll come clear here in a minute because it's raining kind of hard right now. There's a truck. See the truck down here? There's a truck down in that ravine. Somehow or another, probably in these very heavy downpours that we've been seeing. Here's another map I've been following. Oh yeah, this whole area here. Looks like it's under that's that red rectangle. That's the tornado watch for the next 4 hours. So yesterday's long-range forecast for today so far is verifying. It was showing the possibility of tornadoes up in this area yesterday evening. So looks like they are showing up. There have been no tornadoes yet that I know of, but we're going to be watching for tornadoes in this area right up here, guys, along the Jacksonville, Florida, St. Augustine, Palm Coast, and then the interior, of course. The storms are very strong. But I want to keep an eye on all of that. We're going to be going back and forth, but I want to watch this now. And I'm sure it's not the only vehicle that somehow or another slid off the road, quite possibly hydroplaned. Could have had a strong wind gust go through here, but somehow or another, the truck ended up way down there in the ravine. Okay, see this truck right here, this white truck with the arrow? If you look just over it, down here in the trees, okay, now that truck's moving, so you should, yeah, there it is. Okay, see it? Right there's the truck down in the trees, way down the side of the embankment down there, down in it's a big ditch. Well, that's where the truck's at. There's been multiple vehicles here. I've been watching this now for, I don't know, over 25 minutes. I decided to do a live stream. And then what really prompted me to do the live stream was when I saw the tornado watch for this area here. I'm like, okay, here we go. Tornadoes are a definite possibility in this area. And again, Hurricane Nicole was no slouch. You can see the trees kind of blowing in the background. The weather up there is pretty rough right now. And these would be the far outer reaching bands of Hurricane Nicole, as the landfall was well south of here. I think, I'm not exactly sure, I want to say Vero Beach area made landfall, the official landfall. So I'm waiting for details to come in. You know, it's still early. Just curious as to what the storm surge, if any, was, how high up the intracoastal waters went. I know they're supposedly, according to the forecast I saw yesterday, supposed to still be extremely rough this morning. So I'm sure it's toned down some. But we're seeing heavy rains over in Tampa, high winds in Tampa, all across the state of Florida. And again, that's kind of rare for a November hurricane. To be putting on a show quite like this, but you can see it's starting to rain harder here in this area because we can't see and the wind's blowing, so that's going to, compound this situation as they're trying to get this truck out of this steep hillside off the side of the road. That's a light pole, I think, that the truck took out. I don't know. It's raining very hard right now. You can see the water spraying up off the roadways. In fact, it's pouring. This is in the Jacksonville, Florida area. That's where we're at right now. And this would be in northeast Florida, and the hurricane made landfall down in southeastern Florida. And the storm is so big, I can only get it on one, it covers pretty much all of the northern half of Florida, but it'll only fit on this one here, or at least this is just the northern part of the storm. So I wanted to focus on this area. You can see all the dark orange. There's some red in there. That means those are tall thunderstorms embedded in the outer bands of Hurricane Nicole, and it's still very strong. Just because it's made landfall, it hasn't fizzled out much, if any, at all. So there's flooding in St. Augustine and near Palm Coast, and then you can see the heavy rain for yourself right here, and the trees blowing in the background. This is in Jacksonville, Florida, northeastern Florida. And what's going on here is there is a truck right there. Can you see the cab and the bed of the truck? Looks like a dark gray truck. Looks like a full-size pickup truck way down here in the trees. So it'd be interesting to see. I'm sure they'll just get a big tow truck with a long cable and try to hoist this truck out of the ditch. But it looks like it possibly damaged the guardrail here. There's a light pole or some sort of a pole laying here on the ground. I don't know the details. All I know is I came here and I saw the lights, in the frame. So that's what drew me to this location. I was just checking out various locations, and every location I went to, you could see the roads were very wet, and there was a lot of rain coming down. And this one here just happened to have a little more activity than the others, as there was some sort of an incident. I figured out once the rain let up and I could see what was going on. You can see the truck. I don't know if it rolled down into that steep embankment, down into the steep ditch. It's right up next to a timber line there. You can see trees in the background that are blowing in the wind. And I hope everybody's okay. I think I saw the driver of the truck earlier standing up here, but they're all trying to stay dry. Probably got in one of these vehicles here, but the driver of the truck, I think, was standing up here because he was in civilian clothes, looking down at the truck. Everybody else was in protective rain gear and reflective gear, and this person was standing in plain clothes. So it looks like the driver's okay, which is good. That's great. But the truck may not be. The truck has slid off the road somehow. Quite possibly hydroplaned, because the rain's been coming down very hard in the Jacksonville, Florida area. Probably one of the hardest hit locations with regard to heavy rain. I know at the core where the storm made landfall, the winds would have been the most highly concentrated around the core of the storm. Now up in here, the winds won't be quite as strong, obviously, but the rains, even yesterday's 12-hour forecast was showing very heavy rain in the Jacksonville area, and it did verify. Now you can kind of see the truck a little better there. See it? Down there in the trees? Look at that. When the rain lets up a little bit, the camera has a better view of what's going on, and there's definitely a full-size pickup truck down there in the trees. So it looks like the highway transportation And you can see the power trucks. See them right there? There just went two power. There goes a third. Look at the power trucks. There goes a fourth. See the power trucks? Probably heading, I would say, south. I'm not sure. There went another one. Those are power trucks going to start getting the power restored in the locations where the power is off. And I'll show you guys the power outage map real quick. See the truck down there. As we just saw, 4 power line trucks go through the field of view. Right there's the truck. Yes, it did go through the guardrail. See the guardrail twisted there? Yikes. Okay, here's the power outage situation, guys, in Florida following the landfall. I'm going to refresh it right here in real time. Wow, it went up a lot. It was at like 200 and, I don't know, 63,000 or something like that. Now it's at 319,000 customers without electricity. If we click on the map, it'll show us where the highest concentration of power outages are at. And up in this area here, that northern counterclockwise motion, the storm made landfall down here. Power outages are to the north of the eye wall, and that would be consistent with counterclockwise rotation of the storm. You can see the eye wall coming in inland. The eye wall just went over Orlando, and these outer bands, that's a very impressive storm for November. Are you serious? Okay, here you go. You can see the light pole laying on the ground right there. I'm assuming that's what that is. I don't know what else it would be. Anyway, we got a truck in the trees. We have a truck in the trees in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm assuming this was influenced by the landfall of Hurricane Nicole. November Hurricane Nicole. That's kind of even weird to say, November 10th. And we're talking about a hurricane landfall. It's already cyclone season in the southern hemisphere, as the sun's well below the equator. The equinox was in September what, 22nd? October, November 10th. The sun's well below the equator. And the sun's one of the influencers of cyclonic activity. You know, it's no coincidence that when the sun's above the equator, there's no cyclones in the southern hemisphere. And when the sun's below the equator, like it is right now, there's typically no cyclones in the northern hemisphere. But this one here has definitely been the exception to the rule. And it's actually a fairly impressive hurricane. This whole area you see right here from Flagler Beach. Zoom in so you guys can see what's up. This is a tornado watch. So if you're in this area, I'm sure you're well aware of the situation, but there's a tornado watch for the next 4 hours extending from Flagler Beach all the way up into southeast Georgia. Look at that. It goes past Jacksonville, which Jacksonville's in this very strong, there's a collection of thunderstorms moving through the area those are 50,000 footers. Those are tall thunderstorms, creating high winds and heavy rain and possible cyclonic activity. This is just showing that little icon right there is showing us that there is indeed a hurricane in the area moving through. But this whole area extending from, where are we at here? Country Club States, Brunswick, and that is southeastern Georgia, all the way down to Flagler Beach. Huge area of tornado watch area for the next 4 hours, basically. So it's 9 o'clock, 9:12 in Florida, until after lunchtime, until around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Wow. So waiting on, I just want to see the situation here as they get this truck out of the ditch. And I'm sure it's not the only one. And I don't know any of the specifics. More than likely the truck hydroplaned. That's a lot of times, you know, what happens in situations like this. If you're driving a little too quick on roads that have ponding water, big puddles that you may not notice, next thing you know, your tires are on top of the water and you lose control of your vehicle. It's called hydroplaning. And this truck here is probably a good I don't know, it's difficult to tell. 30 feet, 40 feet off the road, 50 feet down in that big ditch. Look at that. Once again, tornado warnings extending from Flagler Beach right down here all the way up into southeast Georgia. As this thing has a very impressive satellite presentation. Once again, for a November storm. Here's a look at the radar over at windy.com. And wow, what a big storm. Not necessarily strength-wise, but that's rare. That's really weird to even see that in November. Wow. Look at Tampa. Tampa, too, is getting very heavy rain right now. Thunderstorms, heavy rains. I'll check that area here in just a little bit. We'll see if there's any storm warnings or tornado warnings over in the Tampa area. But this is on the West Coast. This is affecting the West Coast and the East Coast and southeast Georgia. This was and still is a very large storm. Wasn't necessarily the strongest. And the reason it started out as a subtropical storm, and then it kind of graduated up to a tropical storm, and then it ended up becoming a hurricane. Subtropical is basically a name given to a storm, especially this late in the year, because it's not as warm in the northern hemisphere where storms form. It had a cold core, so the storm was still trying to develop, but it didn't have a warm core. Big storms like Ian had a very warm core, so it had no problem, becoming a Category 4 storm. This one here, it did develop a warm core, but it did it in 81 degree water, where Ian had like 88 degree water. So this storm, so that's what subtropical means. It means it had a cold core. But the core ended up becoming warm, or it wouldn't have became a hurricane. So the warm waters off the southeast coast of Florida and in the Bahamas, which the Bahamas took on a landfall. This was a double landfall hurricane. It impacted the Bahamas first and then southeast Florida. So it was a dual impact hurricane, dual landfall hurricane in the month of November. Got a truck here in the ditch. Where we're at, guys, we are in Jacksonville, Florida. This is one of several locations that are experiencing heavy rains and high winds, and this area is under a tornado watch. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see a tornado or two moving through the Jacksonville, Florida area. But all of the St. Augustine, Gainesville, seeing some heavy rains. You can see the map here, and this is just one radar station. The storm's so big, you can't get in any closer. This is just half the storm. The other half's way down here in Tampa. In fact, maybe let's do this. Let's go real quick, and then we'll come back to the truck. Look at Tampa down here. They're getting some rain. Let's go to Tampa real quick. Let me find the radar for Tampa. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Wow. All right, there's the center of rotation above Kissimmee and Orlando. And you can see this is also getting very heavy rain at places. St. Petersburg, Pinellas Park, Clearwater. I don't see any tornado watches over here in this area. But look at the satellite presentation. Look at the radar. That's a big old center of rotation. That's a good sized storm, especially for November. Wow. So we'll go up to this other radar in northeast Florida, where there is a tornado watch extending from southeast Georgia all the way down to Flagler Beach, just south of Palm Coast, Florida. Tornado watch for the next 4 hours. Going back to Jacksonville, Florida, this is on I-295, east north of Dames. This is near a bridge, and I think this was right before the bridge. You can see a truck down here in the trees. It looked like a full-size gray pickup truck. Don't know any other details, like a street light laying here on the road. I think I saw some twisted guardrail there earlier, right there, some guardrail. I don't know any of the details. All I know is I came here and I saw some activity, and ultimately, once the rain kind of let up a little bit, and you could see what was going on, see the trees blowing in the background. It's windy. The weather's very inclement there right now. There's a truck down here in the trees, good ways off the road, 40, 50 feet, if not more. It's difficult to tell. We're going to watch this area here. We're really watching for tornadoes, to be honest, because conditions are favorable for tornadoes, especially in the Jacksonville area. And this was, I noticed it was forecast yesterday. In fact, I wrote a little note here to double check, the radar this morning, to see if the extended forecast that I checked yesterday for today verifies, and it did. It sure enough did. So that the storm, before it made landfall, it was predicting severe weather. Now you can see it's starting to rain hard. We're not able to see the truck as clear, and here's why. Storms are coming through the Jacksonville. Where are we at? Lake City, getting some heavy rain right now. The darker colors you see usually mean the more inclement the weather situation is. So kind of scattered around Jacksonville. It's like very strong conditions north of Jacksonville, but there's still plenty offshore. There's an offshore flow moving inland. And it was forecasting yesterday. It even showed some of these cells coming in offshore at 55,000 footers moving inland. So look for more severe weather here in this area for the next several hours. Tornado watch underway in that area. Now the power outage went from 313, now down to 302,000 in Florida, which is still a ton. That's a lot of power outages. Talking over 250,000 power outages right now. Well over 250,000 in Florida from the landfall of Hurricane Nicole. We got to go back. For some reason I lost our little handy dandy camera. We'll find it. There it is. Going to be attempting to get this truck out of the trees. I'm sure there's a heavy duty, probably have to get a big wrecker to get that thing out of. It's got a long cable, to pull it up out of the steep incline. That's down there pretty good ways. Just guessing, I'm saying at least 40, 50 feet, maybe farther. And I think the driver's okay. Hopefully the driver's okay. Looks like the truck landed on its wheels. It looks like it's sitting upright. It's just way off the road. See the camera bouncing a little bit here as the winds are starting to pick up. Yeah, it's starting to rain harder here. We're losing our ability to see the truck. Whenever it starts raining harder, we can't see the truck. Then when it kind of lets up, you can see the overspray from the car's tires on the road as water's accumulating. And I'm not sure what happened here. The truck somehow lost control and went off down into the ditch. This is on I-295 in Jacksonville, Florida, where the weather right now is pretty intense. Areas of high winds, heavy rain, and this entire area is under a tornado watch for the next probably 3.5 hours now. From the onshore flow, of Hurricane Nicole, and here it is. Here's a look at the hurricane on radar. It seems weird even saying hurricane in November. November 10th, yeah, we're looking at a large hurricane making landfall in Florida. And here it is. That's the full satellite presentation, and it's having impacts up in, not necessarily heavy impacts, but there's rain from the storm in the South Carolina area, southeast Georgia, where they are under a tornado watch near Brunswick, extending all through this area, all the way down south of Palm Coast. All of this area you see right here is under a tornado watch. No tornado watches, at least right now, in the Tampa, Sarasota area. But there is definitely a tornado watch over here. And this is the tornado watch, this big red rectangle you see here. Everything inside that rectangle, every community, St. Mary's, Kingsland, Brunswick, obviously Jacksonville, tornado watch, next 3.5 hours. There's a new weather alert that's been added. I think this is a marine warning. I'm going to click on it. We'll figure out what this one is. What do we got here? We have a orange rectangle on here now. I believe this is a marine warning, small craft warning. Okay, that's the tornado watch. The tornado watch expires officially at 3 hours and 35 minutes. Excuse me. Usually these are small. Boy, you can start to see some red on there now. That's a tall storm. That's getting up there into the 55,000 foot range. Yeah, special marine warning. What that is, it's meaning that the seas along the coastline here are getting rough, and they're advising, you know, small craft to not venture out right now, just to stay put, because the seas are very choppy. Probably got high waves along the coast of Jacksonville right now. So that's yet another warning. I don't see any tornado icons anywhere just yet. If there's any tornadoes spotted, we'll definitely follow them, but right now there are none. And here's a look at the entire satellite presentation, which honestly is very impressive for the month of November. There wasn't a defined eye wall. It's because the eye wall was actually rather cool. For a November hurricane, it's not going to get real hot. So that's why it started out as a subtropical cyclone, a subtropical storm, because it didn't have a warm core. Most, especially, big hurricanes, especially during the prime of hurricane season, hurricanes have warm cores. That's what they do. They're heat engines. So hurricanes don't necessarily form or perform that well with a cold core. The core actually got warm enough to become a Hurricane 1, so it didn't stay cold ultimately, through its entirety. And it's not done yet. It's just getting started. It's going to rain in parts of Florida off and on all day long. It's going to be hanging around for the next few hours, all day actually, in parts of Florida. Well, yeah, kind of strange. There's the truck right there. You can get a pretty good view of it down there in the trees right now. Wow, looks like part of the guardrail down there with it. Is there? Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's the guardrail. Look. Okay, no, that's the bumper. I'm sorry, that's the back of the truck. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if that rolled down in there. Difficult to tell. See, the winds have picked up, but the rain has let up just ever so slightly. Yeah, the truck's way up in the trees. Wow. Sure, they're waiting on a tow truck to pull that up out of the ditch down there. Oh, I see. Okay, I think this is some sort of a protective wall right here. Some sort of a fence. And the truck went over the fence there. Yeah, that's what happened. There's a fence down here. And then the light pole, I'm assuming that's what that is. And then you can see the guardrail is kind of twisted right there. See it right there? I don't know. But more than likely, that was obviously influenced by the landfall and the presence of Hurricane Nicole. Sure, it's been downgraded to a tropical storm by now that it's on land. But up here in the Jacksonville area, northern Florida, northeastern Florida, southeastern Georgia, experiencing, and it's intensifying. It's definitely intensifying. Seeing the red show up on radar. A lot of lightning embedded in these storms, these thunderstorms. These are large thunderstorm cells that are coming in the very familiar counterclockwise rotation. Hurricanes in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise. Cyclones in the southern hemisphere rotate storms in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise. Cyclones in the southern hemisphere rotate clockwise, and this has that very familiar counterclockwise rotation that's bringing in. It's got an onshore flow bringing in big thunderstorms. Those are tall. The red signatures you see again. The darker the color, like the dark orange, the dark red, represent high winds and heavy rain. Just represent strength. All of these white lines are thunderstorm cells. That's what all of these represent. And these are all moving inland, and that is a bunch. So we're going to be watching this area very close for the formation of tornadoes. It's been kind of monitoring this situation here in Jacksonville, Florida, where the inclement weather, I'm sure, had a big part in this truck ending up down here in the ditch. Let's check the power outage situation in Florida following the landfall, and it's still not done yet. The center of the storm is right over Florida, and right over central Florida right here, and you can see what's going on in Tampa, what's going on in Jacksonville. Let's look at in fact, I'll refresh it right now. Here we go. Went up again. Went from 303 to 328,000 customers currently without electricity. Let's click on the map and it'll show us the individual counties. Brevard County looking at 77,183 customers, and that area was probably, at least for the time being, the most hard hit by the storm. Indian River County looking at 16,600. Up into Volusia County, 34,251. And then Seminole County, 26,151. Clay County, this is up in the Jacksonville area, just over 10,000. St. John's, that's another thing too. The St. John's River, they're looking at 3,700 without power. The St. John's River, one of the rivers of the world that runs north, actually runs south to north. It was just getting back to a moderate level. I looked at the river gauge before the rain started to show up here, and all this water runs off, through the creeks and streams and various things, and a lot of it goes into the St. John's River. Not all of it, but the St. John's River is going to go back up to a major flood stage following the landfall of Hurricane Nicole, and it was just getting back to what they consider moderate. And now, now you can see the guardrail. The gentleman went right through here, took out a pole, hit the guardrail, and ended up down here. And it looks like possibly it went in, I don't know, on its wheels. It's hard to say, but I'm sure they'll be back here in just a few minutes to try to get the truck out of the ditch. I'm sure they're not in any hurry, considering the weather conditions in the area right now. Raining very hard in the Jacksonville area. Look at that onshore flow, that very familiar counterclockwise rotation from the landfall of hurricanes. This was a Category 1 hurricane at landfall. And I know it came in around high tide. I know it wasn't exactly with high tide, but I know it was close. It was closer to high tide than it was low tide, that's for sure. So there could have been a little more, onshore push of water. Not necessarily heavy duty inundation, but coming in near high tide, there's always going to be that chance for water rise a little farther inland than it would be if it made landfall at low tide. Definitely going to enhance the onshore flow of water. But yeah, Jacksonville seeing some heavy rain, high winds. Power outages are south of here, down in the majority. There's power outages up here too, and will probably be more. But the majority of the power outages now are just south of this location. But this area up here, once again, is under a tornado watch for the next 3.5 hours. In fact, let's click on this one here. It's showing flooding, which I don't doubt, in St. Augustine. See if we can get some. Oh, large storm surge. We were just talking about that. Let's read. This is a local report from St. Augustine, 6:45 a.m. That would be Florida time. Updates previous storm surge report from St. Augustine. A business webcam previously showed 6 inches to 1 foot of flooding along Vinda Avenue, Mendez, Florida. Cam now shows roughly, and then it runs out of space. So there was some storm surge inundation, not much, but some, way up here in the Jacksonville, Florida area, and that's not even where it made landfall. Here's another one. Where's this at? Storm surge today, 11:10. Marineland, Florida. Source: emergency manager. Multiple reports of storm surge, flooding in Marineland. Acres experiencing dune breaks, causing road flooding. South Palmetto Avenue in Flagler Beach is underwater. Palm Coast, water overtopping canal walls. Wow. So you saw that. That's a first-hand report from the emergency manager in Marineland right there. Storm surge situation. You can see the tornado watch still in effect for 3 hours and 25 minutes. In this area you see in the big red rectangle. And we're just kind of keeping an eye on, this is live, this is real time, so any updates from the National Weather Service and the Severe Weather Prediction Center, they'll come up on this map in near real time. So that's why I use this one, because of that. You get a more accurate account of what's going on. This is in real time. If they issue an update, it comes on here instantly. Well, within a few seconds. So situation here, still got a truck off the road. We may come back to this area and we'll go look at some other areas. They're probably waiting on a tow truck, and they're probably going to wait and do this when the weather gets a little better. Right now, the situation, as you can see over here at windy.com, very large satellite presentation. Look at the energy back here, way offshore, just loaded with lightning offshore. Yeah, that's a good 100 miles offshore. Here's the center of rotation near Orlando, Kissimmee, Tampa, seeing big showers right now. Heavy rains in the Tampa Bay area, Jacksonville, Florida area. For a November storm, that's pretty impressive. Look at that big counterclockwise rotation. Covers a very wide area for a November storm. Are you serious? Let's see if the power outages have changed any. 300 and still at 328. Be interesting to see if there's any power outages in Georgia right now. There are some. In fact, they're probably in the southeastern part of the state. Let's look and see. Yeah, 555 in McIntosh County, 172 in Treutlen. Yeah, there's scattered power outages, Dooley County, but right down there in southeastern Georgia, not surprised, as that's where the bulk of this energy seems to be at. Okay, I don't know what we got going on here. They're waiting on I don't know if that's a person standing there, or if that's what is that, a dent or something in the truck? That's a full-size truck that did not do too well. Probably got involved in some heavy rains, quite possibly hydroplane. You can see the skies are very dark. We're in the Jacksonville, Florida area. Scattered showers and very tall. Some of these thunderstorms that are, and this was forecasted yesterday. Some of the storms coming through this area were forecasted yesterday at this time, between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. We're forecasted to be in the the 55 and 60,000 foot range. You can see some debris here along the side of the road, and another vehicle off the road. Doesn't look quite as dramatic as the one that we just saw. It's not over here in the trees. That truck that we saw is down here in the trees, where this one's just kind of off the road. Could have had simple car trouble, I don't know. Big sign up here, it's a warning about the severe weather, which everybody's fully aware of. This is I-295 south of Dunn Avenue. Let's kind of bounce around here. And now here's another situation here. What do we got going on? Kind of see some flooding on the road. In fact, quite a bit of flooding here and there on the road. This is New Kings Road at I-295 West. And genius, by birth, your husband's flight should be okay. I'm sure they're going to experience some turbulence when they get out here along the eastern seaboard, but should be fine. I think most of this energy will be well out of the area, moving to the north, but there could be some, there's flight radar. I use that quite a bit. I'm just kind of bouncing around, guys, looking at different cams in the area. Oh, look at this one. See what I mean? Just going from one location to another. It is. No, that one doesn't work. Gotcha. That's why it looks so pitch black. That was probably before sunrise, right? Here you go. Yeah, showing very heavy rains here. Not a whole lot to see. You know, we're not talking a full-fledged hurricane here. I mean, it was at one time. You can see the rain coming down very heavy here at Alden Road, I-295 eastbound. So we're just keeping an eye on mainly the weather situation right through here. Tornado watch for the next 3 hours, extending from Brunswick down to Palm Coast, Florida. And that's Brunswick, Georgia. So big onshore flow presence. So that's the main reason I came on here, guys, was to watch for tornadoes. I don't see any yet. Doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be soon, because this was forecasted yesterday to show up in the Jacksonville, Florida area. You can see the rain coming down heavy right now on this particular camera. In fact, it's coming down real heavy. Look at that. Again, impressive storm for November. Let's see if we can find some other things to look at here. It's coming down pretty good here. This is Alden Road. This is, again, in the East Jacksonville, Florida area. This is that onshore flow that we were just showing right here, and this camera is right here, right there, right in the middle of that very heavy rain. This is the camera showing the rain coming in from east to west, so that does verify that's the rain coming in from a very heavy cell right now that could produce a tornado. This cell has the potential to form tornadoes. Whether it will or not remains to be seen, but it definitely has the possibility to produce a tornado. Raining pretty hard right now. Let's check out another one here. You want to? Same area. This is near Jacksonville, Neptune Beach. Just kind of bouncing around, looking at some different ones. Looking for any type of activity in the area, which there's plenty of activity, that's for sure. Boy, that one there looked dark. It's probably not updated. I don't know what happened there. That one too looks dark. Kingsland. This is up near St. Mary's and Kingsland. That looks like a Welcome Center truck stop. Let's go back down into this area here. This is where it was raining the hardest. I've got a traffic jam here, which I'm not surprised. Oh, yeah. Kind of stalled for the time being. Oh, no, it's not. There you go. Wow, it's coming down hard there. Very heavy rain here at Emerson, I-95. At Emerson, you can see the camera bouncing a little bit. Remember, during Ian, the camera was bouncing. I was surprised it stayed mounted to the pole. The camera was bouncing so hard, so you can see the difference between a tropical storm and a Cat 4. A little bit of wind. This one here's got a lot of rain with it, though. And there are tornado watches in this area. The rain's coming down hard right there right now. This is in the southeast Jacksonville, Florida area, right in the middle of the very heavy rains and thunderstorms that are moving through the area that do have the potential to form tornadoes. This area you're seeing right here is under a tornado watch for the next 3 hours and 15 minutes. So if you're in that area, pay very close attention to your local weather, because tornadoes could happen at a moment's notice. No joke. Camera's starting to bounce from the very strong onshore flow. Look at this. We're getting into some high winds right now. Wind gusts. Camera bouncing. Heavy rains. This is going into this would be leaving, I think, the downtown area. And the camera is pointing towards downtown Jacksonville, which you can't see because it's raining so hard. Go to a different one, guys. Just kind of move around the area. Just keeping an eye on things. This area is all under a tornado watch, this entire area. Now, see, if a tornado were to spawn, we could see it here if it were to be in this particular field of view. This is at I-95 University Boulevard. See, it just looks like it's rainy, very heavy rains. What we got going on here? Roads look inundated in this area. Not necessarily flooded, but see a lot of water. And the St. Johns River, right there it is. St. Johns River. In fact, let me X out this real quick. Here's the St. Johns. This is taking on water right now as I do this video, and it's going back up to major flood stage. Right there's the St. Johns. St. Johns runs, if you guys didn't know, runs south to north. So this is one of the few rivers. There's a few. It's not necessarily super uncommon, but it's kind of rare for rivers to run south to north, and that's one of them right there. We're looking at some heavy rain here, and you can see the downtown Jacksonville area. Raining very hard in this area. Raining hard here too. I'm just kind of bouncing around the outskirts of Jacksonville, Florida. This is where the rains and high winds that are associated with, look at that, can't hardly see anything. Is that even online? It's very dark in this area here. You know, and again, we're not dealing with a Category 4 here, thankfully. We're dealing with at best right now, tropical storm. So see the camera kind of bouncing a little bit here. High winds. What's this say here? Emergency vehicles at Merrill Road. All lanes closed. So cameras bouncing. This is, again, near the Jacksonville, Florida area. And yeah, this one's going to be boring compared to Ian. Ian, the camera was bouncing. We saw just relentless winds with Ian as it made, the landfall was like, I don't know how long it went on. It went on for 5 hours? It's just unbelievable. Thankfully, this is nothing like Ian. Not even close What's going on here? That's like a nighttime view, right? Wow, here you go. Are you serious? This is real time. What's going on here? Oh, you see the lightning? We're getting something going on here. Is that a tornado? This is Bay Meadows, I-95 at Bay Meadows. This is in the southern Jacksonville, Florida area. You can see the wind blowing the camera or the light pole or both moving. There's something going on here. 'Cause, I mean, we have basically you can't see what's going on. Sideways rain. This is real time. It's actually camera works. See? That's real time. That's what time it is in Florida. It's 9:48. There's a situation right here. And the camera's up because we can see the light pole. It's not like it's broken or facing the ground. There's something going on here. And this is near Bay Meadows and I-95. Wow, something going on here, guys. We can't see a thing. And the camera's on. It's working. Don't know. Don't want to speculate, but I'm just saying this is the real-time view of the camera, and it's bouncing pretty good. This is one of the more movement-wise with regard to wind bouncing cameras I've seen. But we can't see anything else. We can see the light there. It's dark, but it's real time. I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock in the morning here. So I think there's a big thunderstorm moving through here. Wait a minute. Did I see a car? No. You can't see any car lights. And this is a major road. This is I-95 at Bay Meadows. Something going on here. And I don't want to speculate because I don't know either. I can't tell. Okay, wait a minute. Are we starting to see the road here, maybe? Boy, if that was a thunderstorm cell, that was very intense. Okay, there's some things starting to... What is going on here? That's just water on the lens. Being influenced by high winds. There it goes. That's just a water drop on the lens. But you can't see anything in this area. It's raining so hard. We can't see the road. We can't see any trees. Wait a minute. There went something up there in the upper left. Camera bouncing. Wow. Something going on here. What is that? Look at that moving across the field of view. Is that a cloud? Are you serious? What is that? No way. That was a cloud. What? I have no idea what's going on here, guys. That was a cloud that just went through the field of view. No joke. Wasn't a water drop. That was some sort of a obviously very low cloud. We've seen a couple of water drops. That wasn't one. That was a cloud. That's water. It's like we're in a wash machine here. This reminds me of Ian when we were in the middle of Ian and the water was coming down in sheets. You couldn't see anything. The visibility was zero, kind of like we have here, with the exception of the street light right there. We can see the street light, so we know the camera works and the time is accurate. That's the accurate time. That's the time it is right now in Florida. It's 9:51, 9:52 a.m. But we have near zero visibility here in this area. So I think we're in the middle of a very intense thunderstorm. This is not a hurricane. The hurricane, it's been downgraded to a tropical storm. But we're in the middle of one of these very strong outer bands. Let's get a little look here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I think we're in this pocket of red right there. That's exactly where we're at. See that pocket of red and dark orange? That's this area here. Oh, wow. All right. Well, we'll keep it here for a couple of minutes, guys. I don't know what's going on. Looks like to me we're in the middle of a severe thunderstorm. And again, all this water is probably going to find its way into the St. Johns River that took on major flooding following Hurricane Ian for several days, and it just got back to moderate stage. And you can see clouds moving through again. Look at the clouds moving across the top of the field of view. There's a situation here. Those clouds are almost touching the ground. Look at that. We're going to stick around here for a minute. Wow, those are clouds moving through this area. I'm at I-95 in Bay Meadows. Yeah, maybe it is fog. Now you can start to see rain a little bit coming down at an angle. We're going to stay here for just a minute, guys. I want to see what's going on here. This is the first camera in this entire area that we've ran across. If it is fog, and that's a good point, it very well could be, but why is it only in this area? No other camera showed any sign of fog. And I do know this area here is experiencing right now a severe thunderstorm. It is right in this area. We just happened to hop on this camera as the severe thunderstorm's moving through this area. You can see the cameras bouncing, and this light has turned off. When that light was on, it's now off. I don't know if that's due to power outages. I wouldn't doubt it. Or if it lightened up some. You can see it is getting a little lighter. Boy, that was one severe thunderstorm, if that is indeed what that was. It was either that or fog. Or maybe a combination of both, you know. I mean, Hurricane Nicole was no slouch. It really wasn't. It was no slouch for a November storm. You know, I was very surprised. I really was. Okay, we're seeing big raindrops now. Maybe some things will come into our field of view. Just a weird situation here. I don't know if that's fog, if it's rain, if there's clouds just sitting on the ground here. Don't know. Here comes more clouds moving across the field of view from right to left. And that would be from east to west. And that is consistent with the onshore flow of the counterclockwise rotation of these outer bands. Those are very low to the ground clouds. And maybe that's the situation. Maybe we're just in some low cloud cover. That is weird. Look at that. And we're sitting here watching it in real time. Those are clouds. Or fog, like somebody pointed out. Maybe it's fog. Well, I guarantee you visibility is 0 right there on this road. There won't be any cars moving. You can't see anything in this area. Are you serious? How weird is that? In the middle of high winds, we've got slow-moving fog? Okay. And again, there's more big. Look at those clouds moving in. Or is it fog? Interesting, man. I know this area is. Look at that light pole bouncing around, or the camera bouncing around, or a combination of both. It's kind of an eerie scene right there. Look at the rain going across the field of view horizontally. So that tells you it's windy. it's definitely windy there. There's a very strong thunderstorm there. How weird is that? Look at the clouds. I mean, or it's very heavy fog, like someone had suggested. That's very good possibility. But huh, super weird, man. Let me look at the radar for this area, and this is just in the South Jacksonville area, and they are dealing with. We're looking at this storm right here. This one right here. Yeah, see, we're in that red. That's what we're dealing with. See that red cell right there? That's the strongest one in town. And guess what? We're right in the middle of it. Right here. That's what it looks like inside that cell. So that's what we're dealing with. We're in the middle of a severe thunderstorm. A very strong thunderstorm. That's what we're in, guys. You're in the middle of it right now in South Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, let's check the power outage situation and we'll come back. 3:28 before I update it. Now it's at 3:25 or 3:35 and 6:28. 335,628 customers, and I'm sure there's more customers in this area, especially if you have above ground power lines. Below ground power lines seem to do much better in obviously high wind events. Yeah, this area is going through a severe thunderstorm right now. We are right in the middle of it. So I'll stay in this area because this area, and we're right here. That's why it's looking the way it does. And maybe it's pulling in fog, low clouds. I don't see any tornado icons on here yet, but this particular program, it will update pretty much, well, it'll update in real time. If there's a tornado spotted, even if it's spotted on radar, it will show up on this map. So this is the location where we're at right here that I just showed you on the map, the dark red. That's why it looks so dark in this area. We're in the middle of a very strong thunderstorm. And this is part of Hurricane Nicole as it's making landfall. These are the northern outer bands rotating counterclockwise, moving in off the Atlantic Ocean. And this area here has zero visibility, at least for the time being. I'm sure it'll clear out eventually, but right now it's like we're up in the clouds. So weird, the high winds and the sideways rain. And we have zero visibility. Can't even see the road. And those clouds right there look like they're sitting on the ground. Clouds / fog. They're sitting on the ground. Look at that. You're seeing it. Right here. This is in the just south of Jacksonville, Florida, at Bay Meadows on I-95. How weird is that? There's zero visibility. You couldn't drive in that area if you wanted to. Wouldn't be a good idea. I'm just waiting on this area to clear out, guys, to see what's going on, because we are in the middle of a severe thunderstorm here in this area. I know it's kind of boring, and I apologize for that. I don't have any control over the weather situation here, but I do find it kind of fascinating that this particular area here, we just happen to get right in the middle of it on this camera. And that is some sort of an effect from the severe thunderstorm in this area. And you can see it is consistent with the onshore flow. Now you can start to see clouds moving from right to left. It's definitely consistent with the onshore flow of the outer bands, the northern outer bands. Now the cloud cover is coming into clearer view now. You can actually see those are clouds, fog, I guess. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But that's all you can see here. Occasionally sideways rain, What a weird, eerie view, huh? Now the clouds, or whatever they are coming into perspective. And we just saw on the radar the storm right here is where we're at. So you can see it's kind of moving out. So watch, we'll start to be able to possibly see the roads and whatever's in this area here in just a couple of minutes. It's moving out. It's moving, west. There goes a bird. Okay, it's going to start clearing out. That's the actual storm, I guess. Okay, so it's clearing. I think maybe the camera's jacked up or something. Let's go to another one. I can remember where that's at, the I-52 and 15. Let's go to the one just south of it. Let's see what this one shows. Showing a crash 3 miles ahead. Right lanes are blocked. All right. So let's go. Just kind of bouncing around here, guys. Seeing what's happening in the Jacksonville area. This whole area is under a tornado watch for the next, I think it's around 3 hours now. Conditions are favorable for the, boy, it's really raining hard here. Conditions are favorable for the formation of hurricanes. Downpour here at Dunn Avenue. Mile marker 359 on I-95. So basically that's what we're seeing here. These are the ongoing outer bands that are making landfall in the northeastern Jacksonville, Florida area, Fernandina Beach, Amelia Island. That's kind of where we're at here. We're in the northern Jacksonville, Florida area. You can see it's raining very hard. Keeping an eye on this area simply because it's under a tornado warning right now. Tornado watch. I'm sorry, not warning. Tornado. Tornado warning means a tornado has been spotted. Tornado watch means conditions are favorable for the formation of tornadoes. And there's some big storms moving through this area right now. Big, tall storms. 45, 55,000 footers. At times, the computer models were showing even 60,000 foot tall thunderstorms moving through this area. So that's why I wanted to come up here and keep an eye on things, because when they reach 60,000 foot, a lot of things can happen. So I've seen it before over the years, and it was forecasting. Now here's the Florida-Georgia state line, and that one is not available. Let's go here just south of the Georgia border. Doesn't look too bad there. Doesn't look too bad there. I'm just kind of bouncing around, guys. In the northern, in that area there, look at the road flooding. Road looking heavily saturated there in the middle. A lot of this runoff is going to go to the St. Johns, and the St. Johns River just did get back into, here it is, the St. Johns River just got back into a it's pouring here, moderate state. Wasn't at major flood state. Wow, it's pouring in this area. Trout River, I-95 at Trout River. It's absolutely just a torrential downpour. So this is what's happening in the Jacksonville, Florida area, guys. And just know that this is what we're going to be doing here, keeping an eye on the area and the situation. And if there are any tornado warnings in this area, I'll post it on my community link. Look at the rain coming down here. This is another area. So we are in the northern Jacksonville, Florida area. And that's that same cell that we were in earlier. It's right up here now. That dark red. I mean, it is just raining buckets. I don't see any tornadoes, which is good. Good deal. Seeing some flooding now up in this area. This is a new one. Storm surge. This was just posted a little while ago. It wasn't on there earlier. Storm surge, reports of significant beach erosion, flooding, wave heights, and water entering the dune system on Cumberland Island. So the onshore flow, an issue, even all the way up in Jacksonville, Florida. And this is going to be a lot of water to deal with. I don't know how much. Look at the camera bouncing around. You're looking at 50, 60 mile an hour winds through there right now. That camera wouldn't be behaving that way. That's a very strong system. That's the one that we were in earlier. And I think what it did, it had the camera tilted upwards. That's why we were seeing so much cloud cover. This one's positioned the way it's supposed to be. This is real time. It's 10:08 in Florida. Wow, that is a strong storm. This is just north of Jacksonville, Florida. Onshore flow of the large hurricane that made landfall. Category 1, but you can see why they're dealing with what they're dealing with up here. Probably going to be experiencing some flash flooding from time to time. This is going to go on all day in some parts of Florida. Some parts of Florida won't see anything. Some parts of Florida are going to be getting rain today all day long, off and on all day long as this thing moves slowly to the northeast as eventually a tropical depression. But this is on a bridge. I believe we're near the St. Johns River that is going to be going up here soon. Yep. All this water will find its way eventually, especially in this area, in St. John's. And they're predicting it to go back up to major flood stage today, later on this afternoon. All right, guys, I'm going to call this one. Just want to show you guys what was happening far north of the landfall location. Strong winds and heavy rains, and they're going to continue for, like I said, the next few hours in the Jacksonville area. There's warnings up in the southeastern Georgia area. Tornadic activity possible going into this afternoon, I think until around 1 o'clock, possible tornadic activity. I'll show you guys the area one more time for those of you that may not have seen it. Got something new now. This was just updated. That's what I mean. This is an app that updates in real time. Now we have this is a mesoscale discussion. All right, let's see what they got to say. Expires in 1 hour and 19 minutes from the Storm Prediction Center. Affected areas, portions of extreme northeastern Florida, and that's where we've been hanging out, and extreme southeastern Georgia concerning tornado watch. The severe weather threat for tornado watch 565 continues. Summary. The severe threat continues across the Tornado Watch 565. The best chance for tornadoes will be across Duval, Nassau counties in Florida and Camden County in Georgia over the next couple of hours. Tropical storm Nicole continues to drift west-northwest across the Florida Peninsula this morning, with a warm, moist, and marginally unstable air mass slowly advecting west unto the northeast Florida coastline. Current observations show lower 70s surface temperatures and dew points in the Nassau, Duval County, Florida vicinity, where a band of low-top supercells are moving ashore. And yeah, we've been watching these things move ashore. So when they start talking about the mesocyclone, they have that discussion. This area you see right here in blue would be a heightened area of possible mesocyclone tornadic activity. This blue area you see here, so that extends from South Jacksonville, where we were just in a torrential downpour, and now it's moved up to northern Jacksonville, all the way up into far southeastern Georgia. This area here, you guys be on the lookout. If you're in that area, or know anybody that is in that area, be on the lookout for the possibility of tornadoes for the next hour or so. from the landfall of Hurricane Nicole. A very rare Hurricane Nicole making landfall in November. One last look at the power outage situation, and these numbers could potentially continue to climb right now. 335,000. I'm going to update in real time. Here we go. See if there's a change. And yes, indeed, there was. 363,000 customers now without electricity from the landfall of Hurricane Nicole. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. Just remember, tornado warning, northeastern Florida, big stretch of northeastern Florida, and parts of southeastern Georgia. Thanks for watching. Have a super day.